Hogue Knives, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, X5 Flipper, Spear Point Design, Sig Sauer Edition. This I got off knifecenter.com for 200 and some bucks some months ago, and it has introduced to me a little bit of buyer's remorse. Not because of this knife right here, but because of another knife that I already did a video on a while ago. This one. Also an X5. The exact same knife. The only differences between these, with one small exception, are cosmetic. I loved this thing when I first saw it. I loved it more when I first put it into my hand, and I still love it. But I now love this more because of how it looks. Just the color scheme. So, if you're not familiar with this knife, aluminum handles. A nice bar that goes through a spacer that grabs the back of the blade when it locks up, transfers any force from the blade into the handle. So you're not stressing the pivot as much as you could. That's just a really nice placement there. The blade material is CPM 154, which, I mean, I'm not a metallurgist, but from metallurgists I've read from, it's good stuff, powder-based, modern super metal for blade making. These inserts here are G10. It's a little bit dry there, needs a little bit of oil. Should add that on. Button lock. So you squeeze that to loosen it up. Locks very securely in the closed position, very securely in the open position, very confidence inspiring, and the ergonomics on this are just fantastic to me. The shaping here, I mean, it's not the most curvy looking handle, but man, having that much depth up here, up close to the blade is really good. It just, like I said, it's just confidence inspiring. I can hold it like this. I feel pressure against the finger guard there and against my pinky down here at the butt end of it, right in there. It just feels really good. I can choke up on this. They gave me a nice space there. There's ample belly for slicing. This particular spear point design will stab also very easily, get through cardboard or whatever, stab into things. I would probably not want to twist with that fine of a point of a tip. It's not that thick of a blade. Has isn't that a concave? See, I thought it was a concave grind, hollow grind, but now that I look at it, if it is hollow, it's very shallow. It might actually be flat. No, it does feel ever so slightly hollow, now that I look at it a little bit more carefully. But there is a good amount of thickness at the spine. Just a lot of it goes away pretty quickly. And with the height of this, it's just not something you want to, just from its physical design, it's not something that you want to put a lot of twisting force on, I think. There is one thing that I dislike about this one in particular, though. An issue that did not exist and does not exist with this one, strangely. And that has to do with a side effect of what I believe is a cosmetic decision. So this has the inscription, the laser etching here, and that's popping with some black material that's in there. Same here, same here. That black material is dirt. It's I believe fine metal powder in the oil that they used to oil this. I've wiped off some of it to clean it up from the blade, but that, when it came from the factory, it was a little bit more oily than it appears now, and you can just see the oil itself right there down on the edge. And as I open this up, you can see little vestiges of it. That material, that powder material that's in the oil that I'm pretty sure was just used to get the lettering to pop, is grit, and you can feel and hear that grit as the detent travels across, or as the blade travels across the detent, and that bothers me. If I can get the microphone closer, hopefully you can hear that. And I loosened up I tuned the pivot, so this is not a tight pivot. It's right where I want it to be. It's not 100% loose, it's like 99% loose. So it just has a tiny bit of tension, which is where I like to set a fairly new knife. Then it'll, over time it'll break in. And it's exactly where I set, at least to the feel, where I set this one. But this one feels smoother and sounds smoother, and it's quiet. I'll get the mic close to it again. The only thing you hear is these two fingers here just rotating back and forth. But otherwise, get that, just fall free. There's no sound. It's completely silent. And when I open this one, it sounds and feels smoother to me. I know I'm nitpicking. I'm totally nitpicking, but I had to let you know. This is something that bothers me. So eventually what I will do is open this up carefully. I don't fully understand the mechanism, so I will be extra careful about it. And I'll clean all that dirty oil out and replace it with just some basic stuff. This has that, so the colors and the fact that it has dirty oil in there really invokes the feeling of a firearm, which makes sense to me. Like a firearm that's been used and is in need of a cleaning. So it really gives me that feeling, which I'm assuming is what they were going for. But just that one thing does bother me. A great design. The X5 is a great design still, though, and I love this color scheme. I'm glad that I got this. Wish I had only gotten it and not this one, but that one little thing, one tiny little thing with the material in the oil does bother me a little bit. Otherwise, good stuff.